armhole. So after stitching these points together, my bust measurement will not reduce. So I'll connect these points together from my chest line to my half length. Now that we are done with all that, I'll separate my center front from my side front. I'll just take my scissors to cut through, separating these two pieces from each other. So guys, I want you to take note of this. Make sure to notch your under bust line. Just give it a little notch at the end point with your scissors, because when stitching these both pieces together, it is going to come out really helpful for you. So now I have my front pattern set, but not fully set though, because I have not cut out my neckline. I'll take this away to cut out my back pattern, and I'll be using my center front to cut out the back pattern. Anyways guys, this back does not have plenty wahala, so I'll just use my chalk to trace out this curved part, and then here is my zipper allowance of about 2 inches. Here there's something I usually like to do, that is adding 1 inch to my back shoulder line. I do this so that the front shoulder line will not be dragging to the back after stitching. Now I'm going to use the side front armhole to trace out the side back armhole and then the side seam. So after doing that, I'm just going to cut out this piece, divide them in two because it is almost set. The next thing here for me, remember I have not cut out the front neckline, so I'm going to come down by 7 inches for the length, and after stitching I would have 7.5 inches. So for the width, I already have it marked out, which is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to connect these points together. You can either use a straight line or a curved line depending on the style line you are trying to achieve for your neckline. So for the back neckline, I'm going to rule out where my front shoulder stops, and then from there I'll come down by 2 inches and then connect it back to the shoulder line. So guys, you can go ahead to follow all these steps. So for my center back, I went up by about 2 inches, which is my center back half length. For my side front pattern, I went up by about 1.5 inches, connecting it back to the dart line. Please take note, even after these front and back alterations, I still have my lower seam allowance. I actually put that much seam allowance on the lower part so that I don't short of any allowance after stitching. So for my front neckline, I decided to make it a slight curved V neckline, not a straight V neckline. So I'll just connect my shoulder line to this point and then trim it out. So I have my front and my back pattern set. So guys, please be patient enough for me to go fuse this with interface and bring it back to show you. So I have gone ahead to fuse with interface and also cut out my lining for my top. So I fused my main fabric and my lining with interface, but I fused with different interfaces. So this is my lining and here is my main fabric. For my main fabric, I used wadding as my interface, and some persons will call this a light breast pad. So this is what I used for my main fabric, and it's thicker than what I used for my lining. My lining, I made use of a cotton hairstay. So this is how it looks like. It is really light and soft. Let me bring this up close so you can see it very well. And yes, I did same thing for the other parts of these fabrics. Now let's head to the next part, which is the stitching together of all these pieces. So this is how I'm going to stitch my side front to my center front, by first stitching from my under bust to my waistline before stitching the bust cup to the center front. Alright guys, let's head down to my sewing machine. Please make sure you take note of how I am placing my side front on my center front. So you see how I did that. Now I'm going to start stitching. So once I get to the under bust, which is the notched point like I said earlier, I'm going to stop and tilt my fabric a bit, then continue to sew in the curved part. So you can see how I'm placing my side front, which is the bust cup, into the center front. And guys, when sewing this part, please do not rush. just take it gently and easily. So you can see how I'm placing it gently and making sure they are on the same line. So I have the first side front sewn in, and this is how it looks like. Even without ironing yet, you can see how curved and beautiful it is looking. So in case you didn't get this part very well, don't worry, I'm going to sew in the second side so you can see